All right. Welcome back to Waste Some Time with Jason Green. I am Jason Green, bringing you brand new interviews every Monday and Friday right here on YouTube. If you go down to the description, before the description, you subscribe. Everyone should subscribe. It's important. And then you'll know when all these cool interviews are coming. But you can also join my Patreon, check out all the other links and things. And okay, now we got that out of the way. Today's guest, Jim Gillette. You probably know him best from the band Nitro. You probably know him as the singer who can break glass with his voice, the Metal Method vocal power. I'm sure if you've tuned into this interview, you know about some of these things. We're going to get into all those things and more right after that. Just wanna waste some time with you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Nobody out there can waste time with you. All right, joining us from Tennessee and in his car, Jim Gillette.
How are you, Jason?
Good, Jim. I'm glad you were able to do this. You pull over to the side of the road.
That's exactly what I did, man.
Well, it's better. It's better than being in Florida where there's hurricanes happening right now.
Right. Yeah, it's a baby one. I've been through 4s and 5s, so
I had a feeling, yeah. But you know what? It's better where you are than here in Las Vegas, where it's 115 degrees right now.
Ouch!
So, yeah, it's hot.
I've spent a lot of time in Vegas. My boys lived there for quite a while, and I'd be in and out. And I like Vegas, but yeah, I don't like the 110, 115 degrees. I don't like that.
It's a bad year. It's funny. I first met you in Las Vegas. You probably won't remember, but I was directing a show called the Vegas Rocks Awards. And
yeah. With the blonde girl,
Sally Steele.
Yes, Sally.
Blonde girl could have been your ex-wife, but in this case, it's Sally Steele. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the first time we met. But I got to tell you, Jim, I'm a kid in high school, and I go out and I get the Metal Method vocal power cassettes, the white cassettes.
Right.
And I was like, I got to learn. I said, I got to learn how to do this. And I sang my minor minds, and I made the silly faces. And
okay, hold on. Stop right there. Did it help?
Probably not, but
not at all.
Well, maybe a little bit. You know what? I think you gave good advice, and I think that the DVDs or the VHS tapes were probably better. I think the problem that I find as a complete amateur is the you might not have the pitch. You might not hear the pitch. So when you're playing when you hear the piano, some people just are tone deaf and won't know to sing in that scale. I think there's a lot of good tips and a lot of good advice, and I think you explain things very well. That you're not going to you're not going to shatter glass after one tape.
Well, the whole thing is you say you didn't improve much. How much did you practice?
I probably quit pretty soon.
Yeah,
I wanted to do it overnight.
The thing is, at least for me, and I don't have like a Bon Scott voice or I mean, I can replicate those, but when I was singing, I kind of made it like it was lifting weights. When you're singing properly, at least my experience, and my opera teachers thought I was nuts, but it worked. I mean, they didn't argue with the the success and the I went in 2 weeks, I went up 1 octave in 2 weeks. But what I was doing was I was singing about 10 hours a day, every single day. Those stupid, boring scales. So for a trained voice, I can't tell you to, practice less than 10 hours a day. That's how I had to do it. So
when do you discover that singing is what you want to do?
I was playing guitar, and I was never very good on guitar because I didn't practice much. Funny how that works, right? I was good enough to play rhythm guitar in some, little high school bands. And I had a singer, and we were doing the high school talent contest. And he had a voice, and we were playing Red Hot by Motley Crue. And red hot. I was like, I grabbed the microphone out of his hand. I just started going nuts. And I thought, as bad as I am on guitar, I'm putting on a show and I'm doing it. And this guy, I mean, people are just looking at him like, what in the hell are you doing, man? You know, that's not at all how you're supposed to sing this song.
Yeah.
So I just figured, you know what, I'll learn how to sing so I can, do them the right way or the way I hear them in my head. And started singing. And God, you might know her, or some people listening might know her, Gloria from Bootleggers in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
Do you remember that venue?
I don't.
She ended up, she's married to Max from God, Soulfly, and
Okay. Yeah.
anyway, I think she manages them. I think she owned a place called Bootleggers, and my band, whenever I'd play, we'd sell it out. I mean, it'd be packed, and we had a great show and stuff. And I knew I wasn't a very good singer. I could do some of the kind of nasty bits that a lot of the guys weren't doing, kind of the raspy stuff and all that, but I wasn't very good at all. And she pulled me to the side one night about 3 a.m. when we were loading out. And she said, Jim, I probably shouldn't say this to you. And I said, tell me whatever you want, Gloria. And she said, you look like a rock star. You perform like a rock star, but your voice sucks. And I went, yeah, I know. And I said, but what do I do? And she said, I'm glad you asked. And she gave me the damn number to John and Marcia Merwin, who were professional opera singers in Phoenix. And she said, take some lessons. And I said, I will.
Yeah.
I went there. I had like a 1 octave range. I mean, it was pathetic. But I practiced those same type of scales. And she said, practice every day. And I came back, and actually it was 1 week. I went up an octave in 1 week. The next time I came back a week later, I was up to 2 octaves, and she couldn't believe it. And she said, well, how much did you practice? And I said, about 10 hours a day, every day. And she said, oh, no, you're going to hurt your voice. You can't sing that much. And I said, well, I just went up an octave and it didn't hurt. And she said, okay, keep doing what you're doing. And I literally sang for about 10 hours. Some days more than that, close to 15 some days. And kept going up, up, up. And I got up with them, I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 months. I was up to 4 octaves, and they were trying to talk me into singing opera, and kept telling me about opera, and no, you should do opera, and da 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 da. And I was stupid and 17, and loved Metallica and Motley Crue and all the Slayer, and opera didn't sound like a good time, so went the rock and roll way.
Yeah, I heard that when you were younger, you wanted to sing higher than Rob Halford, which is one of your inspirations at that time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he was around Phoenix at the time. There was a band called Surgical Steel, and Jeff Martin was the singer, and he kind of looked like Halford, and he ended up playing drums in
Racer X.
Racer X, yeah, Racer X. And man, him and Halford, I mean, he sounded identical to Halford. It was freaking amazing. Halford sang on one of their demos, and nobody knew when it was him or Jeff. I don't know if they ever told, if it was like one verse and one verse or every other line, but you could not tell who was who. It was amazing.
And it's crazy that he was known for being a drummer when he was such an amazing singer.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he had a great voice. So
yeah, for sure. So Jim, we're going to get into Nitro and the bands, but I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the singing, because I think without your voice, there is no Nitro and there is nothing to talk about. You're building something that is that you're going to always be known for, which is also being able to find the pitch of a glass and hit the note to break it. So tell me a little bit how you discovered that you could do something like that.
I was recording my first solo album, Proud to Be Loud, and it was with a friend of mine, Ralph Carter. He was engineering it for me. And he had done my original before Metal Method. I had my lessons, and I called them Metal Power. And he recorded those for me, and we started writing. We wrote all the songs. I got Mike to play guitar on it. We had the music all tracked, and I started, doing the vocals for it. And I'm screaming my balls off, and he hit stop. And I'm like, "What the hell you doing, man?" And he goes, "Get in here now." I said, "Okay." So I run into the little control room. It was a converted garage. We had an old 8-track recorder for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Ralph was Eddie Money's bass player, and he wrote that song "Shakin'."
Wow, great. Yeah, funny.
Super cool dude. Great guy. And I said, "What?" And his wine glass was broke. And I said, "Okay, you broke your freaking glass. Why'd you stop me, man? I was singing my ass off." And he goes, "No, dude, you did that." I said, "I was in the other room." And he goes, "Your voice, dude, it blew up." I looked over at boom, it blew up when you were hitting that last note when I stopped you. And I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, well, get another one. Let's see if it happens again." We blew up like 2 or 3 while I was singing that song. God, I wish I remember what song it was. Anyway,
people at home shouldn't play it, because otherwise they'll have to get all new glasses.
No, well, we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
And it's kind of wild that I ended up breaking a few. One, yeah, but a few, that was strange. They must have all been about the same resonance. But after that, then I asked Mike if he wanted to do, form a band together, and we wanted to call it Nitro. That's why I named his guitar solo Nitro on that. And we ended up doing it, and we got an offer to play Gazzari's, and it was our first show in Hollywood. And everybody knows, first show in Hollywood, you're having to buy X amount of tickets. You go on at 5 o'clock or something. You got 3 people. We got paid our first show $2,000, and they put a 2-page double spread in all the big, local BAM and all those local mags. And I'm told we broke Van Halen's attendance record. I don't have, I'm not comparing Nitro to Van Halen, I promise. I'm just telling you what the promoter told me. But our ad was, "Hey, come see Jim Gillette break glass." And it was kind of a leader, I guess, but it worked. And I came out and broke a glass, and then we jammed.
Yeah, the glass breaking was sort of the opening of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you guys, look, I don't know if you would call it a gimmick, but you have your voice, and then probably the fastest guitar player alive. There's definitely going to be some curiosity factor.
Right.
I just want to point out to people, because I've heard you explain it, that the reason you knew how to break the glass after learning that is that you can find the pitch by rubbing your fingers around the glass, right? You
Yep.
can actually find the pitch, and you were able.
Here's what makes it hard. I got a call years back to do Good Morning America and Mythbusters, but I was in the Caribbean, and I was building a marina. I mean, we put 4 miles of canals and seawalls and bridges and all sorts of stuff. So I couldn't go, and they kept calling me, like every 2 days. "Come on, man, we'll do this. We'll do that. We'll fly your whole family. We'll put you in a 5-star hotel. We'll do, blah, blah." I'm like, "Guys, I'm not holding out." If I wasn't so busy, I'd come do it, And they're like, "Well, do you have anybody who could?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so. Let me call you back tomorrow." And I called up one of my students, who's now an amazing vocal teacher. I think he's the best vocal teacher out there. Not just because he learned a lot of it from me. Jamie Vendera. He went on, and he's written a lot of books, and he's taught a lot of famous people. I've never told anybody about, the names that I've taught or have taken my lessons, because I figure if they want people to know, they'll let them know. And if they make it public, knowledge, I'll go ahead and talk about it. But I think a lot of people have, in fact, said, "Yeah, I study with Jamie," or whatever. But Jamie thought I was bullshitting. I called him up and I said, "Hey, dude," and he said, "Yeah," and I said, "Do you want to go on Mythbusters and Good Morning America?" And he said, "Shut up." It took me like 20 minutes to convince him that I wasn't bullshitting. So finally, he's like, "Yeah, but do you think you can teach me?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's easy. I'll teach you. No problem. You'll be breaking glass in no time." So I told him to order, only because that's the ones I ordered when I started, gonna do it live. Shots Wiesel glasses, Wiesel or something. They're from Germany, and everybody thinks that it must be real thin, easily breakable glass. I've dropped those things on freaking tile floors and they don't break. It's unbelievable. It's they're real thick too, and it's crystal. And when I bought 144 of them before that first show, so I could practice.
You should have had an endorsement.
Yeah. So you get it a little bit wet, and you just kind of, and the note kind of reveals itself. Well, they had a professional opera singer on Mythbusters. Jamie broke his glass, and the professional opera singer couldn't break it. And it's not what everybody thought it was. It's not a super high note. We put it up. We got real kind of Frankenstein and Mad Hatter about it. We went into Randall, and they had a frequency counter or a frequency generator, a tone generator, and we'd get it close to the glass. We'd dial it up. The ones I was breaking, I think they were around like 880 to 90 hertz, and that was the Shots Wiesel. And when you'd get, if it was, let's say, it would break at 889.032. When you got to 0.031, it would not break. You had to get the exact frequency. And that's why it's a little difficult for people. It's not like hitting an A or a D or a G. It's a little sharp or a little flat, of all these things. So I would just have to hold the note. Sometimes it'd go just boom, I'd just nail it. Luckily, I mean, come on, man, you're trying to dissect, 1/100th of a hertz. You can't really, there's no skill that I know of to do that. You just got to get close. And if you'd put a drinking straw in the glass, you'd see it start to move when you'd get close. And when you got real close, it'd start literally kind of like jumping around on the table, like dancing. I used to say, "Oh, it's dancing now." And so I'd go back to that note and then just alter it just up a little bit or down a little, bang, it blow up. So it's all about being able to hold the note long enough and barely move the pitch. I mean, if you have problems with pitch, you're not going to get it.
Right.
So you got to have great pitch, and you got to be able to hold it long enough to dial it in to pop it.
Yeah, and it's not a trick, but it's a skill that not everybody can do, and obviously most people can't. You have to be trained to find that, and you able to do it, and now people sort of know you for it. So I got to say, you're probably aware that years after the Metal Method, Vocal Power, and all your tapes, you've kind of gone viral. There is a YouTube sort of movement of people who are doing their best to do the Jim Gillette scream that started off all the tapes. And so, Jim, if you would deal with this, I was thinking maybe we take a look at a few of these tributes.
All right.
And you tell me, and I think these people would really be honored to be judged by the master. And you let me know how they're doing. Let's see how they're doing. But before we watch them, I think we got to see our reference first. So let's just get a quick reference of this. All right. Now that was you many years ago, and that is the scream that everybody.
You know what's funny? That's not even that high. I don't know why that one is the one that caught on.
I think because it's at the beginning of the tapes, because I always hear people reference that, that
Okay.
one. So
right. No, you're
let's,
right. I'm just wondering why it ended up being that one out of all the weird ones I did,
yeah. So, okay. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these, and we're gonna see. Hold on one second. Turn that down. This is I don't like to edit these. I like to do this live. So here we go. We're gonna see, and you may have seen some of these already, but okay. So hold on. The magic of technology. Hold on, Jim. I know you're anxiously awaiting seeing these. All right, here we go. And I'm really not picking them in any order. Some of them are funnier than others.
Okay.
And some of them might be good. Okay, let's see what this guy has got to do. This is Jimmy O. Let's take a listen. No, hold on. We don't have the volume on Jimmy O. That might be a good thing, but let's find out. Here we go. Turn it up. Jimmy O, here we go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and Jim, we don't know if these people are professional singers or if they're just having fun. But okay, so we think that one's okay. Let's check this one. Here's the next one.
Tribute the Gillette.
He might have just been having a little fun. What do you think of that one?
He was okay. He was flat for a while, then he got sharp, then he died. I don't know. That's pretty good though.
This guy here, he's claiming that he's going to do 4 octaves.
Okay.
We'll see if that's.
That was great.
That's a good one?
Yeah.
Okay. His name is 55 Porter on YouTube. So far, he's in the lead of our Jim Gillette.
He's definitely in the lead. First guy, second.
Okay. Now, this one I think is someone having a little fun, but those are good too. Here we go. You think of that one?
Very good effort.
Okay. See, that's why you're a good teacher. You're giving the A. You're giving the A for effort. Here's another one. Tribute scream. Let's see what this guy's got.
That's pretty good.
I think that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a novice ear, but okay, this one looks like a funny one. Let's try this one.
That's a great try.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the bull had to do with anything.
You're sending me stuff I've never seen. I never look for any of this. People will send me links or something, and I never see anybody that does pretty good. I see the horrible fails. That's what everybody always sends me.
That's why I'm going kind of random. But let's see.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Johnny Extreme, and I'd like to show you one of my favorite metal streams of all time. This one right here.
What do you think of Johnny Extreme?
He's extreme.
He talked it up. He talked it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hyped it. I'm not sure he delivered.
He was okay. He was okay.
But that,
great.
yeah. See, I mean, some of these people, yeah, like we said, I think
That's
some of them,
great. See, you can hear things though. Like what I hear is that guy's got a break in his voice, and if you play it again, you can hear where he speeds it up the ascent real quick because he's not as strong in that little range. But his lower range sounded real good, and his higher range sounded real good. If I, if he wanted to do it, if he wanted to work and stuff, I'd tell him to fill in that gap where he sped up.
Yeah, and so Jim, you're obviously you're the expert on this, but if someone is trying to do this as a novice and just try it, your voice, the average person's voice, will not. It will just go silent at some point if you're not loose and have a little bit of ability. Nothing will come out, right?
Right. Yeah. Or something will come out that you wish didn't.
That could be too, but it is funny that so many years later, there's a whole. I mean, we just looked at a couple of them. There's tons of them, and there are some that are even.
Dude, I've had people send me stuff. There was a couple of TV shows in Europe, TV shows where people would come out of the audience and do it as part of the TV show. Howard Stern used to do it. Used to have people call in and do it on the air. I think Opie did the same thing. I'm pretty sure. People would just call in while the show was going on, and they'd do it over the phone.
It's so
Actually,
funny.
Howard Stern, Google this or check this on YouTube. Howard Stern does the beginning scream for Machine Gun Eddie.
All right, hold on. I hope that's on here because I'm curious.
It was. Somebody sent me the link. He sounds like a dying cow. It's great.
Let's see here. I'm getting Machine Gun Kelly. We don't want that.
Howard Stern sings Nitro, or Howard Stern Nitro Machine Gun Eddie.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can find it. So, yeah, I definitely would like to see that. Not finding it yet. Well, I'll keep working on that one.
Damn. Okay, yeah, that's a fun one.
Howard Stern may have also made them take it down. You know what I mean?
That's true.
I should point out for any armchair attorneys watching this, we're just reacting to videos that are already public, and so just in case anyone's getting any ideas. But and listen, these people should be thrilled that the master is watching this. For, who knows how long those videos have been sitting up there. How many of those vocal tapes do you think you sold?
Over 100,000.
I mean, now we'll talk about it later, but you've had a successful career of other projects. You're doing real estate right now. That's what you're there in Tennessee doing. But you made a pretty penny off singing.
Not much. I mean, I'll tell you, I made a lot of money in the beginning when I did it on my own. And when I devoted a lot of time to that part of singing. I made a whole lot of money the first year. And then we started Nitro, and I couldn't work on that anymore. And, we never made much in Nitro. The most money I made singing was when I was doing my lessons. So, and then Doug came to me, we were touring, and I wasn't advertising anymore or anything. He said, "Hey, let's do it." So, yeah, they still sell them today.
Oh, I'm sure, and
it's crazy. It's crazy. They're like 35 years old or something.
It's amazing.
Still doing them, but it still works. I've had people write me. College teachers saying they use them in their choir classes and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny is Stevie Rochelle of the band Tough. He's the one who put us in contact with each other. And you were the singer for Tough before him back in Phoenix and moved to Hollywood. And then you left Tough and Stevie came in, and he says that when he came into Tough, they gave him the Jim Gillette singing tapes. And he told me just as many that he could do that low part, but he was out when it got to the the screen.
But I think he actually told me at one point they helped him. So I don't know how much, but
yeah, I think he told me that it did too. I think he was trying. using them as a warm up for a little while. You know,
Right,
so.
right.
So okay, so you're in Hollywood now. We're jumping ahead, and you did. You know, you talked a little bit about you put out your solo record, "Proud to Be Loud." This is
Right.
1987. At this point, you can tell us. I know you met Michelangelo at a beach party, like a pool party.
Yeah, give me a second. You sounding like R2D2 through a megaphone.
Oh, okay.
Can you say? Now you sound good.
Okay, I was going to try the
Could you
screen if it
repeat
helped. Yeah.
that?
So tell me about meeting Michelangelo.
Met him at a party, and he didn't say hi to me. I told our mutual friend that if he didn't say hi to me, I was going to beat his ass in the middle of her party. And she said, no, I'm sure he just didn't hear you. He came up, hey man, I didn't hear you. And we became friends. And he had his own band.
Mm-hmm.
And he initially asked me to help write songs with him for his band. Mm-hmm. Then I got him to do Nitro. And then while he was shopping a deal for his band, he said every label he'd talked to say, yeah, we got your tape. What are you doing with this Gillette guy? So we just did it. We ended up doing it. And
at what point do you realize just how insane his guitar playing is?
First time I saw him. And, you know, I know everybody knows a lot about Mike, but what they don't, I mean, nobody holds a candle to him, man. I mean, the guy can literally do everything you can do on a guitar, left-handed, right-handed, crisscrossed, upside down. His brain is a computer with that. I mean, he'd watch movies. We lived together for a couple of years, and he'd watch movies, and while he's watching a movie, he's just doodling on his guitar, but he's doodling left-handed, right-handed, upside down, like just crazy stuff while he's watching a movie, and everything is flawless. I mean, it's cleaner than clean. It's perfect. So it's I've never seen anything like it. I don't think we ever will, you know.
Was his reputation sort of growing around Hollywood, like you got to see this guy?
Yeah, not his band's reputation, his reputation, you know.
Right.
He didn't draw as much as we did in Tough, or, you know, obviously Nitro, but people were talking about him. So,
all right, so we're looking at a promo photo from Nitro. Now, you've said that the record company really wanted to take what might have been a fun gimmick, have the highest singer and the fastest guitar player, and they almost made it ridiculous. You've even described it as like they're turning it into like the Olympics, you know.
Right.
And even this picture, you guys didn't look like this when you played shows. There's not a lot of video of Nitro, but when you see it, you realize this is just a photo.
We did some photo shoots like that. We did the Freight Train video like that. Mm-hmm. Our second video, Long Way From Home, I said no. We didn't play one show like that either. We were always in jeans, t-shirts, whatever.
Is there any
flat hair?
How real is this hair here?
I don't remember if I had extensions during that time or not, because my hair ended up getting much longer than that with no extensions. But there was a time when I had extensions. I just don't remember if that was when I had them or after I'd given them up.
I feel like there's some. No offense, you know, you're a jiu-jitsu master. I've got to be careful, but I feel like there's something going on here. You know.
Oh well, what freaks everybody out is the top, not the length.
Right.
And there was nothing on the top at all. I had extensions in the back for a while, and because actually the lady I was living with, that's what she did, and she wanted me to just hang out at the shop and be like hair model. So I just write songs and listen to music, and every once in a while somebody'd come look at my hair. And what I quickly realized, and that's why I say I took them out pretty quick, they were doing the kind, this was back way in the day, where they'd braid your hair real tight on your head, and then they'd put another row, like a hair, and they'd sew it to this row. right, on your head. Well, by the time it'd be time to take it out and put it in a new one, half the hair from that row was gone. It was ripping the shit out by the roots.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, if I keep doing this, I'm going to have to keep doing this because, I'm not going to have any hair left. So I quit doing it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And Jim, people talk about your appearance now. They say, you look completely different. But I will say, if you watch some of those old Tough clips, you were pretty ripped even back then. It wasn't like you suddenly went out and got in shape.
I most of the time I've been in shape. Every once in a while I fall off the wagon, but I mean, I started wrestling at 5 years old. I was cutting weight at 5.
Mm.
I grew up in Nebraska with a Pan American champion as an uncle, and in Nebraska you wrestle. That's it. If you don't wrestle, something wrong with you if you're a guy. And
Yeah.
I wrestled from the time I was 5 till I was in 7th grade, and I quit wrestling. I just got bored of it. Just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of matches. I did have scholarships offered to me to Nebraska, Iowa, and I think Ohio or Kansas as a 7th grader.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. But I started boxing, and I boxed for a couple of years, then moved to California, so I couldn't do any of that. But I used to work out a lot and stay healthy. But
Yeah.
pretty much a lifetime of combat sports.
I was going to say, if somebody thought that you were a pretty boy with long blonde hair, they were going to be sadly mistaken.
Yeah, I ended up whooping quite a few people on stage at Nitro shows.
Yeah, I could only imagine. So, okay, Jim. So when I was young, this came out. This is out fucking rageous. It could also be out fucking ridiculous at times. This is the craziest record, the fastest guitar. I think probably a lot of people didn't believe it was really your voice. It is so high that it sounds manipulated at times. I know it's not.
It's not at all manipulated. I used to go higher live.
Yeah, and it is pretty amazing because it sounds unnatural, which I'm sure you know that. And so, as you were saying, the record company wanted to keep making it crazier, and so now you're getting away from songs and getting more into the shtick, so to speak.
It's funny. I don't know if it was better, worse, indifferent. Kind of going along with that with them and doing it. Because it had to be better, I suppose, because what happens if you don't listen to the label?
Right.
Oh, you can be a big boy and say no, and then they can say, okay, we're not writing any more checks. So you never really know what the best move, because maybe they would have been bluffing and maybe they would have anyway. But I know we outsold most of the bands that were coming out at the same time, and I know that we were outdrawing most of the bands, and a lot of bands that had a lot of backing on major labels. But I wish they would have allowed us to do what we wanted to do. I think there still would have been those ridiculously high singing, and there still would have been this crazy fast blazing guitar stuff, but it would have been a little bit more like the vocally like Judas Priest, where you're waiting for that cool scream. You're not hearing it for the entire song. I mean, use it a lot more tasty. I think it would have come off better that way, but then there's a whole lot of people that would tell me, you're wrong, dude. We love it because you went so crazy. So
yeah, we're talking about it over 30 years later, and there's a reason, and so yes, maybe it's a double-edged sword in a way, but at the same time, I think people had to check it out. I remember there was a buzz where you kind of you had to check this thing out. So I want to talk a little bit about Long Way From Home. Okay. And that is the Freight Train was the first video. Long Way From Home is the second video. This is the ballad, and it's filmed. Most of it's filmed in New York City, and I grew up in New York, so I got some questions. But so to start off, how crazy this video is, the beginning of the video, you're leaving home,
Right.
and your mom is the legendary actress Rose Marie.
Yeah, that was awesome. She was a
Ro-
very, very nice lady. Very nice.
So, for those who don't know, Rose Marie had a singing career as the name Baby Rose Marie. She was a child actress. I'm talking about the 30s, and she's best known for the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah, yeah.
How the hell did she get in a Nitro video?
Guy that made the video, Bob Gallagher, he just kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to get somebody to play your mom. I'm going to get somebody to play the bus driver. I'm like, cool, you know." The guy at the gas station. Do you know who the guy at the gas station is?
No, I think I might have missed that.
Oh, come on, man.
And you know what's funny? I got to say, Jim, real quick, I knew Bob Gallagher. He's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And now that I know that he directed the video, that explains to me why I know the tour bus driver was Bob Gallagher's old roommate, Ron Jeremy.
You don't know, do you?
Now, I don't know the gas station attendant.
I was Bob and Ron's roommate for over a year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a small world.
Yeah, actually, I met Ron. And what you might not know is Alan Hale from Gilligan's Island was the original bus driver.
And what happened?
He was skinny. And he wasn't recognizable. So Bob wanted to use somebody that was recognizable.
He sure did.
Yeah. So yeah, I found out a lot of people know who Ron is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And now for good or for bad. But Bob directed a lot of these Vice Academy type movies later.
Right.
And so he had a connection to these people. So it's starting to make sense to me now. But so you have the great Rose Marie. You have Ron Jeremy playing the bus driver. Julie McCollough is your girlfriend. Yep. She was on the television show Growing Pains.
Yep.
When Kirk Cameron got very religious, they got her. She was in Playboy magazine, and they wanted her off the show. Yep. But so she's in the video. But so I don't know who the gas station attendant is.
God, they're gonna kill me for forgetting his name. He was from the Dick Van Dyke Show as well.
Oh, okay.
Is it Maury something?
Oh, is it Maury Amsterdam?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's got to be who it is.
Yeah.
Hey, so what a bizarre thing. So okay, so we've kind of given
away. And I believe we filmed that whole thing where they did like either Friday the 13th or Halloween. It was an area in California, and I think it was Friday the 13th. When all the people get killed in the woods.
Yeah, it was one of them.
Yeah.
But so okay, so we sort of got to the plot. You're going on the road with your band. You go to New York. What's fascinating to me is you do this live performance at Washington Square Park. Any New Yorkers who are watching,
it was so cool, dude.
Well,
so cool.
So let me explain Washington Square Park, and then you'll explain how the hell that happens. But when I was in school, you would tell your friends, meet by the arch at Washington Square Park. That was the spot. It's also the spot where you perform. It was also known as the place where you could get marijuana before it was legal. That was Pot Park. David Lee Roth David Lee Roth got busted for buying marijuana there.
Wow.
Dee Dee Ramone got busted for buying marijuana there. And it was really that thing. But what's even crazier, Jim, and I think you'll find this interesting, is Washington Square Park is a potter's field, meaning that there are people buried underneath the park, thousands of people. We're going back to 1700s now. It was people who had yellow fever, and they didn't know where to put them. So later, when they were working on the park, they were literally bringing up human remains because there were so many people buried under there. So let's recap. You got Dee Dee Ramone, David Lee Roth, marijuana, a pauper's grave, and Nitro. How does Nitro end up performing at Washington Square Park?
Bob, that was Bob's idea. He came up to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, how would you feel about just setting up and playing?" I'm like, "Where?" He said, "At the park." All right, can we do that? He said, "Well, if you'll do it, I'm going to get a permit." And I said, "Okay." So there was nobody knew we were going to be there. There was no advertising. It was just during the middle of the day. And it was, people walking by, and we're setting up, and we just start playing a show. And within about 10 minutes, there were thousands of people watching. And it was the coolest show I ever played because there was homeless people next to like Wall Street suits, next to, every kind of person imaginable, every color, every, religion. It was crazy. And everybody had a great time. There was no violence. It was just fun and music. And for an hour that day, thousands of people that would have never, ever been next to each other, like watching something together, did. And it was awesome. I loved it.
I always wondered that. I said, is this an audience or was it just you set up? Because New York is this melting pot and people will show up.
It was so cool. It was, I think they put one of the homeless guys in it, kind of dancing around. But
okay, I can picture it.
There was a lot of homeless there. There was, I mean, just again, every kind of person, every color, and everybody got along and everybody just had fun and had a good time. Everybody was very, in between songs, I'd talk and they were getting into it. And it didn't matter that maybe this guy was a millionaire and this guy didn't have a cardboard box and this woman was a nurse. And, it was like everybody was just having a good time, and they would have never come to a Nitro show. They would never, and it was awesome. I loved it. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I think it sounds cool. And it was a little bit different than what other bands were doing at that time. I mean, I can't think of a video like with that exact kind of thing. And then there's also a cameo from the late Janie Lane. Were you guys friends with him? Was that just kind of a thing?
Distant friends. Didn't really hang out with him a lot, but we'd run into each other. He knew who I was. I knew who he was. And, I think there was a mutual respect thing. And he heard we were playing, and he lived down there for quite a while, I guess. And we were in Florida on the live parts that aren't in the park were filmed at a place called the Button South.
Okay.
And I guess Janie used to go there quite a bit, and he heard we were playing, and he came down and hung out with us. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's cool that he's sort of part of that. That video. Yeah. So okay, so these videos do play on Headbangers Ball, and you guys go on there and you talk. You're talking to Adam Curry, probably the least cool person in the world, but
but hey, he was very cool. Like, not that kind of cool, but very nice, and just a very, very nice guy. I was surprised. I kind of thought he might be a dick. Yeah,
I could see what you're saying. Yeah, a nice person, but maybe not the hippest, or maybe not the most of a metalhead.
Right.
But unfortunately, you guys get a little lost in the shuffle, like a lot of people do. I'm jumping ahead to 91. This is Nitro 2. This was called Hot, Wet, Dripping with Sweat. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and fitting for a 115-degree day here. But so, I mean, what was the idea? Is this on the same label?
Same label. That was kind of a nightmare the whole time when that came out. Before that came out, while we were in the studio, or right before we got to the studio, the president of the metal division, it was called Rampage, it was owned by Rhino, he went to SBK. And he was the guy who signed us, and he was our biggest fan. And yeah, he pushed us into the crazy, highest ever, fastest, blah, blah, blah. But he was a cool guy and our friend, and very invested in Nitro. I mean, we were his pet project. And when he left, they didn't have anybody to fill his shoes. They weren't going to get anybody to fill his shoes. So labels started trying to buy us out. And I got a call from somebody saying, man, they think you're the Beatles. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, we tried to buy you guys out. They wanted $1 million. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. They're not going to do anything with this. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to promote it. The only guy that did is gone. Bob was working for freaking Vanilla Ice and Wilson Phillips over at SBK. And I'm thinking, man. So anyway, they kind of really messed us up on that, and they wanted us to go commercial. So then again, we're, going a direction that they're pushing. I wish we would have just done what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Still bums me out. I know that a lot of people will cringe because it's weird. Nitro's like this cult band now,
Right.
And I think that if, the people that want to kill me for saying this, if they just trust me just a little tiny bit, it's like, I wish you would trust me like the record companies didn't trust me. We don't have to do it all the time. And I think it would have come out even cooler, more than Halford does, but you'll be waiting for that scream, in a Priest song, or Queensryche, that intro scream to Queen of the Reich. It's special. It's like, I would have much rather done that. I would have much rather come out in jeans and t-shirts with flat hair and not made it to do about the image. And
Right.
But wasn't in the cards.
And like you said, there was a lot of bands at the time, and there's even more commercial bands like Skid Row, where
Right.
Sebastian Bach would get screams into pop rock songs.
Exactly. That's,
and
I would have done higher screams than him. I
Of
would have
course.
done longer screams than him. I would have done harmony screams just like I did on the O.F.R. album, but it just would have been more selective.
Yeah,
I would have sang the, even the verses and some of the choruses and pre-choruses. I mean, there's still some of that stuff is coloratura soprano. It's the highest woman singer you can get. That's the register I'm singing in a lot of that stuff. And if I would have brought it down an octave or two, and then hit a big scream
right.
at a point, during the song or something, I would have enjoyed it more like that than I do what we did.
Yeah, and I can imagine, and I think it's slightly disappointing, to wonder what it could have been like, if it had gone in that direction. I remember this record actually being pretty hard to find in 1991.
Yeah, it was. Bob left, and it was the weirdest thing. It was like, I asked the owner, I'm like, why in the hell didn't you guys let somebody buy us out? Why were you asking for all this money? Why didn't you just let them take the album, split the points with them, and let them promote it so it can actually do something? 50% of an extra large pizza is a whole lot more than 100% of 1/3 of one slice.
Yeah.
So he didn't have any answers. I think they were as confused and not knowing what to do with Bob leaving as anybody. And and then they, it's like the pretty girl at the dance. She'll hold out until the homecoming king or whatever asks her to dance. Well, so many labels were trying to buy us out because we sold a lot of units on a little label, that first album, and I guess they were holding out for more. They thought, I guess they thought they could get $1 million for us. I don't know.
This is a common story, I mean, I interview people every day. When somebody leaves the label, when the guy who signed you or your rep is gone,
yep,
sometimes kicked to the curb because someone else doesn't see what they saw, even if they were a little different in their views. And now with grunge coming, this is definitely a band that's not going to survive, which is funny because you guys could actually play pretty heavy, and in the later years, you've shown that. But at this time, something like Nitro is going to get sacrificed,
right.
91.
Well, it was even worse for us because it wasn't like they didn't know what to do. It was, or the new guy, wasn't as interested. It was the old guy left and they didn't replace him.
Right.
Rhino was known for having a catalog, all the old stuff. They just re-release old stuff. They never broke bands. They never started a new band. The guy who left, he knew a thing or two about that. He was the only guy there that knew about that. Everybody on his support team was just used to releasing catalogs. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at this point, you must become a little disillusioned with the music business.
Yeah, I never really liked the music business at all. I enjoyed recording, and I enjoyed the shows and talking to the fans, but there wasn't much of that, you know. It was like I try and explain it to people. In a 24-hour day, you get about 2 hours of fun.
Yeah.
And 22 hours of wishing you were at home, you know?
And you had a really specialized skill. So obviously there's some demand for that, but if it's not fun to you, just because you have that skill doesn't mean you want to get on 4 connecting flights to play, an hour
Right,
show or
right.
that's more present day. But so um, you're at this point now where you have other skills as well, though. And so tell me a little bit about where your life is going after Nitro, the first round of Nitro.
The first round of Nitro.
90s.
Yeah, I quit the band in the middle of the tour. I just had enough. And I took about 6 months, and in 6 months I read like 300 or 400 books. uh, I'm a little extreme, you know, like singing.
Yeah, you sang 10 hours a day.
Yeah. I had no idea what I would do, you know. I did not want to do music anymore. I actually had a friend who was murdered, Marcus Mueller. He was a German guy. Actually, he was the drummer in Cat Scratch Fever.
Okay. That's small
If you
world.
haven't seen it, look at it. The guy was 312 pounds, 5'10", with washboard abs. He looked like a silverback gorilla. And he was one of my better friends. And I went to after I stopped the Nitro thing. Before I quit, I was scheduled to go to Germany. He bought me a ticket to come see him in Germany, and I stayed with him for 2 weeks. And he wanted me and Howie to start a record company, and we were going to release a Nitro album without all the, you know, the way we wanted to do it.
Right.
And he was going to give us $1 million to do it. And I got to Germany, and he says, "We go to bank, get you check." And I said, "No, Marcus, I don't want your money." "Oh no," I said, "I quit Nitro." "So you make new band?" You know, no, I just didn't want to do it. I was done. You know.
Yeah, and I can imagine. Okay, so in 1994, you become married to Lita Ford, which is unfortunately ends in a controversy that I'm sure you would have rather avoided. Your marriage and divorce become a sort of a news story. You were married for 16 years. You have 2 children together. You ended up with full custody of both your boys. I believe one of them is an adult though now, right?
Both of them are adults. They're
So they're
20,
both over 18. Yeah.
20 and 24.
How crazy! You got to remember, Jim. Last time I saw you, they were little kids.
Right, right.
And so yeah, so the kids are at that. Now you were living on an island for a while though, right? In the 90s.
10 years. Oh, so I read a bunch of books, hundreds of books. And do you remember Carlton Sheets, the real estate guy?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not positive.
Okay, he was on at like 3 o'clock in the morning. He'd have like an hour-long infomercial, how to buy houses with no money down.
Okay.
I read, watched, did every real estate course, read hundreds of books on real estate, and decided that after about 6 months, I was going to start buying houses. And I didn't have much money at all, like in the hundreds of dollars when I decided to do this. Not the thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds. I had hundreds of dollars. And I moved to Tucson, Arizona. And within 2 weeks, I bought a house. 2 weeks after that, I bought my second house. 2 weeks after that, I bought my third. In a year, I'd bought like 16 or 17 houses and sold them all in the same year. So,
yeah, and
I just started. That's what happened. I didn't have I didn't graduate high school. My senior year, I had the credits of a ninth grader because the only class I'd go to was choir.
and
That's literally the only class I did.
yeah, well,
So
it
I
worked.
quit Nitro. I don't want to sing. I don't want to tour. What the hell am I going to do? Well, I read all these books and decided I'd do real estate, and I've done it ever since.
And you did obviously you did very well at it, and it sort of became known at that point because it was sort of the where are they now question, and the same went for Lita as well at that time while you were married. You both kind of were out of the public eye, and
Right.
you were making money and doing business the same that you still are doing now. And so, I mean, at this point, probably to you, music would be a side project, something that you would only do for fun or the right circumstance.
Right. Gonna make some music this fall. I don't know how much, if I'll do much with it, more of like a hobby thing. I'm thinking about just doing something where I can release stuff on the internet. So the 3 or 4 people who are interested can listen,
Well, you're one of these people. I say this all the time too. You make music because you believe in the music and the passion and the art of doing it. You have money, you have business, and so you don't. You can put out honest music because you don't have to sit there and go, "Oh my God, if this doesn't sell, I'm going to lose my house."
It's funny. I believe that's the only way you're going to get honest music out of someone.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, it's like, Nitro. We weren't different. I mean, I'm sure you've heard, this band had to change their name. The record company picked their new name. They picked the producer. They picked everything. So you want to make real music, make it with no intention of making any money off of it.
Yeah, if thine own self be true, Shakespeare. Yeah, if you believe in it, yeah, you'll do it. And if it doesn't, the music will outlive you. So you did it because you believed in it.
Right.
Is there a chance of Nitro music? I know this is the question that you always get, but is there a chance of Nitro happening again?
I don't know, man. Never say never.
Are you and Michael still on good terms?
Yeah, we're great friends. We've been friends since I was 17 years old.
So that's
I'm
a good.
53 today.
Today's your birthday?
No, but
okay.
53, from 17 to 53. I don't think we've ever had an argument.
Gotcha.
Yeah, real close. I was close with his family, his mom, his dad, way back in the day. They both passed, but yeah.
So what would it take to do it?
Me to decide that, I wanted to jump in the ring again, and I guess Mike would have to decide the same thing. It's probably easier to get him to do it than me, because he's playing anyway.
Yeah.
He's never stopped playing. I guess there's a chance. Say it like that. But I've got I do real estate all over the place, and houses all over the place, and
it would have to make sense.
My sons, my sons took a lot of my time. I raised them alone for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, that took a lot of my time, and believe me, they're more rewarding than music.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
And, I would like to, but let's just see. I may slow down with the real estate in the next year or so. If I do that, then maybe I'll devote more time to music.
Jim, the skill that you have, can you still do it?
Yeah. I have to. It's like, I tell everybody, it's like lifting weights. If you get big, if you put on 50 pounds of muscle over a few years, and then you quit eating as much and you don't work out as much, your muscles get smaller. You lose 30 or 40 pounds. If you want to get big again, you can. You got to eat and you got to train hard. If I want to do that's the big thing. If I want to do what I was doing, like the crazy, crazy high stuff, I'd have to work out,
Yeah.
I'd have to work my voice out 10 hours a day. I can do it. I still can do it. It's getting motivated enough to go through 10 hours of hell. It's not fun. It's definitely not fun learning how to sing.
I can only imagine, because like you said, it is a muscle. It needs to be strengthened. And I think the same goes for Michael's guitar playing.
Absolutely.
If he stops, he won't be able to play. You have to build it up again.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think there would be an interest. I think we're in a nostalgia-driven time more than ever, and I
Right.
think people still want to see these things. I know that you like a little bit of a heavier music, and
Yeah.
I think that Nitro might develop into a little bit of that as well. But you're still willing to sing those songs. I mean, you have over the since the band has separated a few times, and I think that people would probably get a kick out of it. I think the legend is still there. And what's funny, Jim, is there's just enough on YouTube.
Right.
Like you
Right.
can't really see you breaking the glass, or you can't. There's a lot of things that you can't really find. So
Right.
there's this folklore behind Nitro. This guy, and he sings really high, and there's this guy, and he can play four necks, two with each hand, and one is down. And so I think that people would still get a kick of seeing you on these festivals or cruises, and it's just a matter of you wanting to put the
I've been
time.
approached about doing some of those cruises, and I just at the time, I was just too busy, you know. Stuff
You,
like that, maybe if I were able to do, like you're saying, some festivals, some cruises, if I could do a dozen shows a year,
right.
that'd be great. But in order to do a dozen shows a year, it'd probably take me about 6 months of 10 hours a day. And that's the problem. To be able to do all that stuff, I would not want to come out and do this nostalgia thing and not live up to the legend. You
Of
know what I
course.
mean? I mean,
Yes.
I'd
Big
want to
shoes.
do it. I'd want to do it absolutely right. I mean, if we came out and did the O.F.R. album or something, I think you're right. I think people would really get into it if we pulled it off that extreme.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, I think
and-
that's a good teaser, for
yeah,
people, promoters and blabbermouths and whatever else. There's the possibility, you do have the hardest part of it, though. Some of these guys could go, oh, what the hell? I'll go sing a couple of my old songs.
right.
They're not singing in these ridiculous octaves and
Well,
things that you do.
okay. You tell me, and be honest. We won't name names because we don't want to hurt any feelings.
Okay.
But the normal singers from the '80s that might hit some high notes every once in a while, how many of them actually even hit those high notes that weren't really that high? Not many of them.
No, not many. Yeah.
Not many at all. And it's like, you think those notes are hard? That used to be my lower mid range. That was nothing.
Well, and
we'll take that note and we'll go 2 octaves higher. Then we're starting to get high.
You hear about people saying when I perform this song, someone like Mark Slaughter, and I'm not saying anything bad about it, I'm just saying, hey, when I sang this song 35 years ago, I had no idea I'd be singing it 35 years later when it's not as easy to do. And he's had some surgeries and things, and he's not alone. There's a lot of people who have struggled. One of the last things I wanted to ask you, and I know a little bit, but I would have thought over the years, because bands have changed singers so many times, that people would have been seeking you out to step into situations. Were you getting approached with stuff?
A lot, yeah, a lot. Back in the day, yeah. Actually, you brought up Slaughter. Dana Strum approached me about singing with Vinny before they got Mark. This guy, you might remember, her name was Lucy. She was kind of like a talent scout in LA. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
No, I grew up on the East Coast, so I probably would have known.
She had long red hair, and she got Dave Reese into Accept. She placed people. She knew a lot of the bands and knew a lot of the managers and stuff. She asked me to submit a tape to Accept. I didn't. She asked me to submit a tape for Judas Priest. I didn't.
Priest would have been one I really would have thought. That
you know what? And I thought about it a lot, but I just decided no, and I'm glad I didn't. Ripper is a great singer. He's a phenomenal singer. He's got a great voice. He's very talented. No offense to him at all. Judas Priest didn't sell shit with him compared to Rob.
Yes.
And I just didn't want to get on a sinking ship, and I didn't want to get in a situation where I was told what to do. I'd already done that through the labels. It's like, you know, I don't need the band guys telling me what to do now, plus the label, plus the manager. It's like, if I would have known, say, the guys in Judas Priest or a couple of the guys, if I would have been friends with them and it was more organic like that, and it was like, well, just do your thing, and, you know, let me go nuts with it. Maybe I would have, but still, you're never going to replace Rob Halford and Judas Priest and have anywhere near the success. He's the metal god. It's Rob Halford, man. You can't replace that. You can get somebody just as good. Ripper can do everything that Rob can do and more, but he's not Rob.
Yeah, he's not the guy, and one the fans identify.
Make those songs, you know. Nobody connected with him on those huge songs, you know. CC, Howie Huberman took me over to CC's house. CC wanted me to jam with his band when he was putting, I think they were at the time called Needle Park, I think.
We're talking about CC from Poison?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. He had a band, Samantha 7, after that. So
no, that was before Samantha 7.
Okay.
I think it was Needle Park was the working name or something. I don't think the label liked it, so they changed it to Samantha 7. Jimmy Bain was there. What's the Kotak guy from?
James Kotak. He played in Kingdom Come.
Yep. He was playing drums, and they were all jamming. And Howie brought me over there, and I hung out. And it was when CC was in a real dark place. Did you see that video when he was talking about it? Used to be the House of Horrors. Now it's known as the House of Horror.
Yes.
That's the time. And I knew CC's mom. CC's mom used to be the one to print out my little booklets for the Metal Power stuff. And I knew CC. I wasn't like friends, like hang out with him all the time, but whenever we'd see each other, we'd hang out and laugh and have fun. And I just couldn't stand to see him like that. You know, he looked dead. And Howie was very close to CC, and it was very difficult for Howie. And, you know, I think Howie was thinking maybe if he got me into that situation, maybe some of my nerdy straightness would rub off. But there was no way. Those guys were absolutely over the top, just fucked up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wouldn't say anything, but CC spoke about it, so I feel fine talking about it.
Sure. Yeah.
I was bummed, God, for years and years about it, and I would literally think about him from time to time, hoping that he was okay, hoping that he got off the drugs, hoping that he turned himself around, and he did, and he looks great now. He looks healthy, and I'm very, very happy that he got out of that dark place, man. I saw it happen to too many people, you know.
Oh, I can imagine in all those years you're going to see that. I got to say, though, you're talking about Dana Strum approaching about singing for Vinnie Vincent. Vinnie Vincent was known for being a really nasty guy to them and really nasty to Mark. Yeah. And if you would have been the singer of Vinnie Vincent, I'm going to say it right here. I think Vinnie Vincent would have got his ass kicked.
I think so, too.
I don't think you were going to put up with the shit that Mark did, because he took a lot of abuse, and I don't think that was going to fly with you.
Mark's a great guy, and you know, I feel for him, because number one, he jumped in. I mean, I thought Robert Fleischman was unbelievable vocalist. I mean, if you know anything about the voice, you know, I'm not talking about your favorite tone, or, you know, one of my favorite singers is Bon Scott. And as far as a vocalist, he's not talented. He's just got the coolest fucking voice, you know, it's just cool. And Robert Fleischman, I mean, he did stuff with his voice that was very, 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 very difficult and technical, and, you know, all that good stuff. And I got Dana asked me what song I'd like to sing, because I was thinking about it, and I said Twisted, because that was like what I thought was the hardest song to pull off on that first Vinnie album. And I got Dana called it a TV tape. That's the first I'd ever heard of that, you know, and it was all the music from the album with all the background vocals, and I would rehearse to that, and I did it. I rehearsed it for a couple of weeks, just having fun, and I liked I liked the tone of Robert's voice in that stuff, and I took what he did, I changed it a little bit, and I did go a whole lot higher than him on that song, which is kind of my thing, but I liked his voice on it better. Okay, and same kind of thing. It wasn't about, because at that point I hadn't heard, well, Mark wasn't there. I hadn't heard that Vinny was an asshole yet.
Right.
And what I heard, I don't know if I'm correct, but what I heard was that the label didn't like the singer. You know, they didn't like the look of the singer, because he looked alien. He looked like he should be in Wham or something, and Vinny's looked like a metal dude. And I think that's what happened. I don't know. So they needed to find somebody that looked the part too, not just sounded the part, but looked the part. And, I thought Mark did great. I thought, it's funny, Mark, I think, took the band further than the original singer. Which,
yeah, I think you're right.
Which doesn't happen. I mean, can you imagine somebody stepping into Judas Priest and it's selling more than they'd ever sold? I mean, I can't, But yeah, obviously he did a great job, and they went on to have the solo career. So he might have had to eat a lot of shit from Vinny, but it worked.
Vinny dodged a bullet, because if he would have pulled that with you, I don't think he would have flown. Yngwie Malmsteen should also never call you. Because
dude, it's funny because I don't want to ruin my reputation of a badass or anything, but just for the record, the guys that know how to fight and know how to hurt people are the guys that don't fight or hurt people.
Yes, and I don't think you make a good point. I actually tell people who study in any kind of martial arts, it's better not to say you do it, because then everyone will want to test you or challenge you or think they know more than you, and so screw them. What's the point? But I should clarify, in the case of these guys, they're just not going to treat you bad, not because you're going to beat them up, because you're not going to take that level of disrespect. And if you had to,
most people don't mess with me.
No, I don't
actually, nobody messes. I haven't been in like that kind of a situation in 35 years. Nobody messes with me. I think they can tell that if they do, they're gonna regret it. So there's like it's funny. It's not the right kind of respect from somebody like that, but if they fear you, they're not going to fuck with you. Unleash the fury. No, you don't know what fury is, dude. I'll break every bone in your fucking body.
Yeah,
and I won't break a sweat.
Yeah, but you've demonstrated that obviously you and Michelangelo have worked together, and so it shows that. I'm not trying to say not everybody's difficult, and some people you work with very well, and you're fortunate not to work with people who are just arrogant jerks. So
Bobby Rock, he played on the first Nitro album, and of course he'd been with Vinny as well, and I'm not going to say what he said, but I mean, you could tell that it wasn't the most pleasant experience. Let's just put it that way.
Speaking of Bobby Rock, I would ask if you've ever stayed in touch, but he's the drummer in your ex-wife's band. And so are you just out of touch?
Yeah, I hadn't talked to Bobby in years. Maybe for about 10 years after the Nitro album. Not very often. If I'm seeing him somewhere, we'd hang out for 20 minutes and visit and catch up, or, get a phone call once or twice a year.
He was never really a member of Nitro.
No, we just got him strictly to play on the album.
Right, and then he did Nelson and other things as well. But Nitro is kind of you and Michael. I mean, everyone else was sort of interchangeable, at least in my eye.
that's, Michael and I were the only ones with the record deal. We did 100% of the writing. Let's see, bass player. Actually, we used my friend Ralph Carter to play bass.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Tony, TJ, is the guy who come out live on the first tour. Then we got somebody else for the second. And, it didn't. I mean, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. It was just, that's the way it was. It was me and Mike, and
yeah,
that was it.
And sometimes that happens. What you and Mike had was the gimmick of the band, and maybe not everyone was going to fit into that. And as long as you guys were there, you had what you needed. Jim, I really appreciate you wasting a little time with me sitting by the side of the road. Thank God there were no accidents behind you or anything.
I'm in a park. I'm in a park.
You're in a park.
In a park.
Okay,
So.
then you're set.
Hopefully there's.
Yeah, let's see where you are.
Can you see the lake?
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it's pretty here.
Looks nicer than Washington Square Park. I don't think there's any bodies under there.
I don't know.
Well,
not.
It could be in the lake. But
right.
So recapping, though, we got to watch some of the Jim Gillette tributes. There's tons. We looked at a handful. To this day, you're still inspiring. People can still buy the Metal Power vocal lessons. Is there anything else you're promoting, Jim?
Nothing.
That's what I like.
I'm not promoting nothing, buddy.
That's what I like, that you took the time to talk, just to have a good conversation. I know this means a lot to people who are watching at home. They like to hear stories from people, and so it's great that you're not really here to sell anything.
Stevie saw that I did a couple of interviews, and he said, "Hey, you're doing interviews?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Hey, I got this cool guy," and he spoke very highly of you.
Well, I appreciate that, and he's a tough critic. If he doesn't think you're doing something good, obviously he's not going to recommend you. And when I saw you doing interviews, I said too, I go, "This is a guy I got to get." And he made the point that sometimes you disappear. And
right.
And I've always
a great
kind of
guy. Do you know Stevie?
Say it again.
Do you know Stevie?
Yeah.
Great guy. I mean.
Oh yeah. Well, and he has this reputation because of the website, but he is an honest businessman and a good guy, and really does look out for others. He's definitely helped me with a bunch of things.
Everybody thought, that we'd probably be enemies or something. And I'm like, I quit Tough. They got a new guy. I liked him. We were friends.
Mm-hmm.
We've been friends. Now, listen, we were never like hanging out all the time or nothing, but we talk, I don't know, on average 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
For the last, who knows how many years. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a great dad. He's got some great kids, and
And it's amazing what he did with Tough. He took this little band and he's maneuvered it into, we're talking about a 30th anniversary of a record. It's really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really glad that they found him, because I didn't leave on bad terms or anything. It was just, I had those lessons out, and I wasn't singing like that at all for Tough. They didn't want that in Tough. They wanted to be poisonous, and it's funny, I was trying to push them to go heavy. They didn't want to go heavy, so I quit. And then Stevie got in, and he kind of got them to go much heavier than when I was around. So I'm glad it all worked out.
Yeah, it definitely worked out. And this rock and roll is a small world. Jim, if you're not promoting anything, but people can go and check out your music. We didn't even get into the later stuff, but there is other stuff you can check out as heavier stuff. And hopefully, Jim, we'll be hearing musically from you at some point. I think the desire is still there. The fire still burns, so to speak. And when the time's right, maybe we'll hear some music from you again.
Never say never.
All right. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason. Take care, buddy.